Hey guys, it's Max Clausen, and I'm happy to be bringing you guys my Horus Blue Eyes Bestial deck profile. And I gotta say, I've been tinkering with this deck for a while, and it's pretty good and pretty cracked, not gonna lie. I honestly am pretty biased because I love Blue Eyes. And despite every other dragon support and lightning dark support this monster gets, it's never really that great. I mean, it's decent, but there is still the whole point of it still being a Brick Eyes deck. So there will be times you get very bad hands, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's the game. We get bad hands, we get good ones. But this deck overall has a very good power level. It's a very big beatdown deck, and if you want to run things like skill drain, you can. But with this deck build I do believe stands a decently good chance. And by the time you see this, I will have taken it to local, so I will be uploading dual videos for that. So be on the lookout. But anyway, I'm gonna be getting into the main, extra, and side deck. So without further ado, let's jump into the deck profile. First of all, we're going to be starting off with our big Blue Eyes side and/or dragons. We have the two Blue Eyes White Dragon, the one Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon, the finally obtained Chaos Emperor Dragon of Armageddon, such a sexy card, the Blue Eyes Jet Dragon, and the Chaos Dragon Legionnaire. These are all your main boss monster dragons of the deck. Blue Eyes, obviously, because you want to search it out to summon Alternative. Alternative can once per turn be summoned by revealing Blue Eyes in your hand, and once per turn that it can pop a monster on the field regardless of its position. And should you remove it from the field and bring it back, it can do that effect again because it's a soft once per turn. Or you can just attack with it because once it uses its destroy effect, it can't attack. Armageddon is the best dragon pendulum monster in the entire game. While it's in the scale, you can pay 1,000 life points to target one of your banished light or dark dragon monsters, I believe it was. Yeah, you just target a banished dragon monster. You destroy this card, and then you add that banished card back to your hand. And, excuse me, while it's in the face-up monster extra deck, you can banish a light and a dark monster to summon it, and if it's summoned by its own effect, it gets put back to the bottom of the deck, so it's always recurring itself. So it's never really gone per se, unless your opponent happens to cosmic cyclone it or whatever. They have to literally banish it to really get it away from the game. But in all joints, banishing really doesn't help because we can just get those things back with our Bestial Rebellion. Jet Dragon is your best protection card. When a card on the field is destroyed, you can summon it from your hand or graveyard, but you have to have a Blue Eyes White Dragon on your field and or graveyard to resolve that effect. And when it battles at the start of the damage step, it can bounce a card back to your opponent's hand. So I'm not sure if that means you have to replay the battle, or since it's at the start of damage step, it bounces something like, say I bounce a monster back, now its battle phases end, or more so this card can't redeclare an attack because it was at the start of damage step. I don't know, the battle and damage step and stuff is always a little convoluted, so let me know down in the comments if you can redeclare an attack with that, because it does state at the start of the damage step. And Chaos Dragon Legionnaire is Legionnaire. Banish 3 monsters from your graveyard to summon it. Depending on what you banish, it gets 3 different effects. If you banish all light, you can reborn a monster from your graveyard. All dark, you can shuffle a card from your opponent's hand at random back to the deck. And if you banish both light and dark, you can destroy 2 cards on the field, but this card can't attack if it activates any of those effects. Next up, for the Chaos Dragon package, we do have the Black Dragon Collapse Serpent, the 1-star Lee Safer, and the 1 White Dragon Wyvern Buster. All of these are literally going tangent together because Star Leech can get you this, and this can banish Star Leech to summon itself, do your whole Dragon Link combo. But you may be surprised we are not running the full Dragon Link stuff in the extra deck. So you're basically just using this to get these for extenders or any. Basically, Star Leash can send a dragon from your hand or field to the graveyard and add a dragon from your deck to your hand equal of the level of the monster you discarded. So if you discarded itself and another dragon, you can add a level 4 and a level 8. And then again, that combos off with these two because this banish a light to summon this. It leaves the field. It searches Wyvern Bust, White Dragon, and White Dragon just go off there. Last up for the Blue Eyes stuff, we have the 1 White Stone of Ancients and the 1 White Stone of Legends. Pretty standard. Ancients will summon a Blue Eyes monster, i.e. your Blue Eyes Jet, at the end phase if it's there during the turn it's sent there. Or you can just banish it to add a Blue Eyes monster back to your hand. And Stone gets you Blue Eyes when it's sent to the graveyard, no matter how, when, or where. Next up, for the Bestials, we have the 3 Bestial Rebellion, the Bestial Magnemite, Saronir, and Druisworm. In all honesty, guys, I have had moments where I considered taking out Levianeer to run Bestial Baldrake because Baldrake does have a pretty good effect. But, you know, that's all personal player preference, depending on how you want the deck to run. But, in any case, all of these, everyone should know what they do, but if you don't, Lubellion, you can discard this card to add any of your level 6 Dark Dragon monsters from your deck to your hand, i.e. his Bestial brothers. And while he's in the graveyard, you contribute a level 6 or higher Dark Dragon monster to summon him back from the graveyard. And once per turn, he can place a branded continuous spell or trap card onto your field, so you'll be placing your Regained and or Beast. You want to go for Beast because at the end phase, it can just get any of your continuous spell or traps back, which goes into our here. Bestial Magnemite, these 3 have the same kind of effect, where during either player's turn, you can activate this card effect in your hand to banish a light or dark monster in either graveyard and special summon it. All 3 of them have that effect, but they all have different unique effects. So Magnemite, literally on summon, activate his effect to at the end phase search out any dragon in your entire deck. Doesn't matter who or what level. Saronir will dump any Bestial or branded spell or trap card from your deck to your hand when it leaves if it's sent to the graveyard by any means. And Druisworm, the most problematic card for most people to deal with when it's sent to the graveyard from the field. You can send a face-up special summon monster your opponent controls to the graveyard, but it does target. Next up, we are rocking our Horus engine with the 3 Imseti, the 1 Happy, and the 1 Duamatef. Imseti is the most important Horus you want to see because it replaces itself and the card that you discarded to use its effect. Being that is, first and foremost, all of them have the effect that if King Sarcophagus is on the field, you can special summon them straight from the graveyard. That is not an activation, it is a summon condition, just like Grapha. Imseti has its unique effect that first and foremost, you discard it and 1 other card to add King Sarcophagus, and then you draw a card. And its third effect is that if cards on your field are sent to the graveyard, except in a damage step, you can target a card on your opponent's field, send it away. Happy will let you shuffle back monsters that are in your grave and or banish. And Duamatef, if anything leaves your field, you can activate its effect to draw cards equal to the amount of differently named monsters in your main monster zone, including itself, so you at most can draw 3 or 4 in whatever case may be. And last monster we are running is the Triple Assault Synchron. This is the best card in this deck because it helps your level 10 synchro plays so easily. And the one combo with this card is ridiculous. Is that if you use Bestial Dispater as a tribute for Lubellion's effect, Lubellion will summon himself. Assault Synchron, when a Dragon Synchro monster is tributed or banished from the field, you can banish this card, and bring that monster right back from the grave or banish. And once per turn, you can special summon this card straight from your hand by paying 700 life points. So this card is definitely the most important card you want to have in rotation, because then Bestial Rebellion can just get it right back from the banish zone, and then you go off even more from there. That is the monster count. Pretty good roundup of monsters. Now let's go into our spell cards. We are rocking the 3 Melody of the Awakening Dragons to search out all of your big beastie dragons, and like I said, you can keep searching out Chaos Dragon whenever he does shuffle himself back into the deck. Since I don't have many hand traps aside from the 3 Bestials and 3 other cards, I am playing the Forbidden Droplets. It's crazy how this card is starting to see a rise in play again, and because of that, starting to see a rise in price as well. But this is relatively free in most decks because this can help break boards depending on what you discard. If you discard a monster, spell, or trap, your opponent cannot respond with any one of those cards depending on what you discard for this or send away with this card's effect. Obviously dropped out during the time Castira was a thing, but thank God Arise Heart's banned. Just get it out of here. Next we got the King Sarcophagus, the other important card to help extend your rank 8 and or rank level 10 synchro plays. You can up to 4 times per turn you can activate this card's effect to discard a card, I believe for effect, not a cost, and send a Horus monster of a different name from your deck to the grave. And it has an effect that your Horus monsters cannot be destroyed by card effects that do not target them. Also, once per turn, if your Horus monster battles, you can send that monster to the graveyard. So good spot removal, good protection, and a card your opponent has to have an answer for, otherwise you're gonna keep having recursion. Next we do have the 1 Brand of Regain, the 1 Chaos Space, and the obligatory Call by the Grave. Brand of Regain, whenever your opponent summons a monster to the field, you can special summon one of your Bestials back from the graveyard. And if a light or dark monster is banished, be it from your grave or your opponent, you can activate this effect to shuffle that card back to the bottom of the deck, and then draw a card if you do. So if your opponent banishes something, you can put it back and draw, or you banish something, put it back and draw. Another thing I learned about this card, crazy, is that if a card you control gets banished, you can put it back. Like, say if you're something got from you have something that got banished from the extra, that will go back to the extra deck, you can put that card back and still draw, because this doesn't say main deck, it just says put it back into the deck. I know I don't know why Konami is wording many cards weirdly and creates so many long terms of when you have to ask for, like, can this do this and that. But yes, this card you can put back banish light and dark monsters back to the extra deck and then draw still. Chaos Space, you can discard a light or dark monster, and add a light or dark monster of that same level. And while this is in the graveyard, you can banish it, target one of your light or dark monsters that can't be normal summoned or set, put it back to the bottom of the deck, and then draw a card. And Call by the Grave is Call by the Grave, so Next up for our last stuff, we do have the last 3 hand traps being Infinite Impermanence, and the 1 Branded Beast to round off our branded spell and traps, and our spell and traps in a whole. Branded Beast, at the end of the turn, you can place a continuous branded spell or trap card back from your graveyard to your field, and once per turn, while you control a Bestial monster, you contribute a light or dark dragon monster and destroy a card on the opponent's field. So it's pretty good interruption. Also combos off with the Assault Synchron again. That's it for the main deck, a solid 40 cards. Now let's go into the extra. Extra deck can change because if you do play the Horus stuff, you can run more rank 8s, but I'm doing a little mixture of both. For the level 8s, I have the 1 Axel Synchro Stardust Dragon and the 1 tech of Draco Berserker of the Tenyi. So Stardust is just a combo. If you only have a Bestial and Assault Synchron, get you into your quick Dispater or Baron. When on synchro summon, he can target a level 2 monster in your tuner in your graveyard, special summon it. Go off from there. Draco Berserker the 10 is a little tech I decided to put in here just because I can make it and it can answer most things. When your opponent activates a monster effect, you can activate this to banish that monster. So I am 95% sure that this does gets over Nibiru, because Nibiru has to be able to tribute stuff to even summon. And if it's not in the hand, then you know, how is it being tributing things to summon? I mean, if it doesn't work like that, you guys can let me know in the comments, but I do believe this is a very, very good tech in here. You don't have to run it, obviously. You can run more level 10s or whatever. Its other effect is that if it destroys a monster in battle, it gains that half that monster's attack, I believe. No, it just gains attack equal to that monster, so it can get pretty big, keeps it, and then it can attack again. So it's a pretty sick monster. I do believe you guys should try playing it. Next up for our 10s, I have the 1 Baron de Fleur, the 1 Supreme Sovereign Changing, the 1 Chaos Angel, and the 1 Bestial Rebellion, the most powerful card of this deck. Baron is Baron. I will upgrade this into like probably a quarter century rare at some point, but Baron's Baron. Changing is here because we have so much synergy with banishing stuff. So for every banished card, this card gains 100 attack and defense. Your opponent loses 100 attack and defense, and when something gets banished, he can banish another card from your graveyard to banish something for your opponent's field or grave. So it's pretty great. And I believe if he would be destroyed, you can do something else. Yeah, you can just banish a card from your graveyard instead. So yeah, he'll just proc his own effect, which is crazy. Chaos Angel is Chaos Angel. I do hope you bought a card of this, because this card has seen a jump in price. If you don't, it's very sad days, because this card is definitely needed. You can just summon this with any light or dark deck, but we can summon it easy in here. On special summon, it will banish a card, and depending on what you use to summon it, it gains effects. If you use only light monsters, your monsters are unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. And if you use dark, your monsters cannot be destroyed by battle. For correction, your light, if your synchro monsters are unaffected by activated monster effects if you use light monsters. And Despater is Despater. Once per turn, you can target a banished light or dark monster and summon it to your field. And you can return a banished card back to either player's deck to activate 1 or 2 effects. If you if you return stuff to your deck, you destroy that monster, and if you return something back from your opponent's stuff, you negate that effect. So it's very situational when it can come up. Well, depending on the deck, of course, but you always want to either negate something or just destroy something. Next up for our rank 8s, I do play the Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord, the Hope Harbinger, and the Zombie Master. Photon Lord for more monster negate, Hope Harbinger for spell and trap negate and attack redirection, and Zombie Vampire to excavate into our deck to hopefully get our bestial stuff. You obviously don't do this against tier elements, because that deck sucks, but hopefully it won't be as bad because it lost both of those Ishizu cards, which should never have been printed. Next for our links, I do play the Hieratic Seal for bouncing, and if I go into this, even if they nib me, I will get his effect to keep going off. Because when this card is tributed, you can summon a dragon monster from your deck with 0 attack by zeroing its attack and defense, but their effects are still live. We do still have the IP and the SP just to go into interrupting our opponents. If SP is made with a link, anything from the extra deck, you can banish a card from your opponent's field or grave. And if they activate something, you can activate this effect to banish 2 monsters on the field, so it keeps your stuff safe. Next, I do play the Dark Charmer to steal something from the opponent's graveyard. I am trying out the Selene along with the access code line, just because Selene can just get back Dark, link up into access code, and access code has many things it can banish to go in for the OTK. If you don't want to run the Selene stuff, you can run another Link 2 or the Striker Dragon, but I decide I want to try Selene because more ways to beat down the opponent is good by me. Now we're going into the side. For For the side, I do opt to play the 3 Nibiru because most people still play into this card, or some people. You have to be very wary of the deck you're fighting against. If you know your opponent has to go into like 5 summons, otherwise they're going to be very limited. Nibiru is good. I run the Herald of the Abyss, the Harpy's Feather Duster for back row hate, the Lightning Storm for back row hate, the 2 Dark Ruler for monster negation, the Tactics Thrust, the D Barrier, and the 2 Evenly Match. All of these at 2 ofs because Thrust can just get it to our hand if our opponent happens to have gone first. Herald is to get over things that are towers based like Noir or whatever have you, so because this affects the player by paying 1500 life. Feather Dust and Lightning Storm for back row hate, this to clear the way for monsters to go, or cards to go off. Thrust to search out any of this. Barrier to stop any single summoning base deck, and Evenly Match is Evenly Match. But yeah, that's going to be the deck. I do hope you guys enjoyed. I do like my deck choice, my choices of things for the main deck and for the side deck. If you guys don't like it, that's fine. Everybody has their own style of play and how they would play things. Obviously, if you don't have certain cards like Dissipator or Chaos Angel, then there aren't many good substitutions for those cards, because those are cards you really need to really go off with your plays. So I don't really have many options for what you could run instead and things like that. You mean with this, it's a Blue Eyes deck at the end of the day, in a sense. You can just make rank 8s instead and go on from there. But you know, you could always just look up and study deck profiles, find what piques your interest. But with that being said, that's going to be it for me for this deck profile. If you guys did enjoy, be sure to leave this video a like, subscribe to me for new content, and also I want to thank you guys so much for getting me to over 200 subscribers. Never thought I'd make it there, but really happy I did go back into making YouTube content, because I like sharing my ideas and getting feedback on what I can make to help make my decks more powerful and stuff like that, because I do want to take Yu-Gi-Oh! Much more seriously than I have been. And if you guys have any ideas, be sure to leave them in the comments below and share this video to help spread the joy of running Blue Eyes, keeping this monster alive just because it's such a great legacy card. But without further ado, I hope you guys enjoy, and I will see you in the next video.